Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're really getting into a fascinating set of sources.
Yeah, it's all about growth, right? Profitable, sustainable growth.
Exactly. But in this really chaotic digital world we're in.
Yeah,
And the core idea seems to be mastering two, well, almost opposite skill sets.
that's the tension, yeah. The whole digital space, it feels like it's splitting
Splitting how?
into these two extremes. On one hand, you've got this intense data-driven AI automation, stuff that optimizes way faster than humans can.
Okay, the machine side and the other side.
That's the human stuff, the things you just can't scale easily, you know? Trust, brand belief, and maybe the most interesting part, status and boundaries in like sales situations.
That's quite a range.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to pull out the actual strategies, the concrete steps you need to take to really get good at both.
Right, handling the machine and the human element. We're going from like AI ad control rooms all the way to the deep psychology of a sales call.
Let's kick off with the machine side then,
Yeah.
because there's this data paradox.
Oh, definitely. Marketers are basically drowning. Sources say, what, 230% more data than just a few years ago, 2020.
Wow.
But here's the kicker. Over half, 56%, say they just don't have time to analyze it properly.
So you've got all this potential insight, but it's just noise without control.
Exactly. It demands centralization.
Which leads us to this idea of the advertising control tower.
Right, think of it like mission control for all your campaigns. It's meant to be this unified platform.
More than just a dashboard, though.
Oh yeah, much more. It doesn't just show data, it pulls it all together, gives recommendations, real-time intelligence.
Okay, so what makes it different? What are the key things that make it a control tower and not just, a fancy report?
Two main things really stand out. First, genuine real-time data integration, meaning
Yes.
it's refreshing constantly, like every few minutes via APIs, not just once a day. It catches things immediately.
Okay, so speed. What's the second?
Cross-platform budget management. This is huge. It actively suggests moving budget around.
So if Facebook's doing great and Google's lagging.
Exactly. If your Facebook ROAS is, say, 4.2 and Google's down at 2.8, the tower flags it and says, hey, shift some funds. It doesn't wait for someone to notice next Tuesday.
That cuts right through the silos, the lag time. The efficiency gains must be
Massive. The numbers are pretty wild. Companies using these see like 90% less time on manual tasks.
90%.
Yeah. And the ROI, typically around 544% in the first year.
Wow. Okay, that's $5.44 back for every dollar you put in.
Pretty compelling.
So if the control tower is mission control, what's powering it? What's the data engine underneath?
That's where the meta ads knowledge graph comes in.
Okay, let's unpack that. Sounds technical. It's supposed to fix attribution issues, right?
Yeah.
But how? What is it doing inside Meta?
It's basically trying to solve that age-old problem of tracking the customer journey, especially now with cookies going away and all that.
Right.
The knowledge graph is like a unified data structure. Think of it as this huge map connecting all the dots.
The dots, ad views, clicks.
Every touch point, an ad exposure, maybe a real view, a click, a later conversion on Instagram Shop, it links them all together.
Even if the conversion happens like weeks later and wasn't a direct click.
That's the goal. It creates this single connected view of the journey within Meta's ecosystem. So the system knows with much higher confidence which ads actually influence the sale.
Cookie, but that sounds very meta-centric. Is that a risk?
Yeah.
Relying so heavily on their internal map, does it talk to anything outside Meta?
That's a fair point. Right now, it's primarily about mastering that specific ecosystem. The trade-off is the performance lift.
And that lift is significant.
Yeah, sources show up to 40% ROAS improvements just from unifying data within Meta using this kind of approach. The AI gets a much clearer picture.
Okay, so the machine gets smarter with better data infrastructure,
Yeah.
but optimization, it needs to look beyond just clicks and immediate ROAS, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Which brings us to AI for profit, not just return on ad spend.
Explain that distinction. Isn't high ROAS good?
It can be, but it's often short-sighted. We get obsessed with that first purchase ROAS. But the real money, the strategic win, is customer lifetime value CLV.
Right.
And the data shows CLV is often way higher, like 4 to 6 times the initial ROAS.
So a campaign might look meh on day one, but it's bringing in customers who spend a lot over time.
Exactly. If you only optimize for that first sale ROAS, you might actually kill off the campaigns feeding you your best long-term customers.
So the native AI in Facebook and Google, they're getting smarter, but are they optimizing for this long game, for true profit?
Not entirely on their own, usually. Native AI optimizes for conversions or value as defined by the platform signals. It tries to spend your budget well to get those.
But not necessarily profit margin or return.
Right. That's where these specialized tools come in vertical AI agents for e-commerce on Meta ads.
Vertical AI agents. How are they different from Meta's own AI?
They go deeper. They're designed to optimize specifically for profit.
Oh. How do they know my product margins or shipping costs or return rates? Meta's AI doesn't see that.
Good question. They integrate deeper, usually via APIs or by you feeding them data from your e-commerce platform or your ERP system.
Ah, so they connect the ad data with the actual financial data.
Precisely. They factor in margins, shipping, returns, that CLD data we talked about. So the agent knows, okay, product A costs more to acquire a customer for, but its margin is 60%. Making it way more profitable than product B with its cheap acquisition but tiny 15% margin.
It adds that business context layer.
Exactly. It's optimizing for the bottom line, not just the ad platform metric.
And that must save time too, right? Instead of someone manually crunching those numbers.
Huge time saver. E-commerce owners using these reports saving like 15 to 20 hours a week. The system just handles that complex profit calculation 24/7.
Okay, so we've got the infrastructure, the profit focus. Let's see it in action. There's a case study about Castlery, the furniture retailer.
Yeah, a premium furniture brand. They're a good example of a challenger brand.
And the usual thinking for challenger brands, especially with moderate budgets, is you can't afford to go after broad, generic searches, right? Too expensive.
That's the common wisdom. But Castlery challenged that. They figured efficiency wasn't about avoiding generic intent, but using the right AI to convert it effectively.
What do they use?
They leaned heavily on Google's Performance Max campaigns, PMax.
And the insight there is that PMax is good at taking someone searching broadly, like modern sofa, and using signals and creative testing to figure out who's actually likely to buy, even without explicit high intent.
You got it. It bridges that gap efficiently. Solves that classic budget problem for Challenger.
So the results for Castlery.
Pretty dramatic. A 200% increase in online revenue.
Wow.
And an 80% lift in ROAS. So more sales and more efficient spending.
That's impressive. Any other takeaways from them?
Yeah, an interesting side note. People who saw both their brand ads, like on YouTube, and the performance ads converted 10% higher.
So the brand building actually boosted the direct response. They worked together.
Makes sense, doesn't it? Builds trust and recall.
Okay, so that really covers the machine side, automation, data, optimizing for profit. But like you said, the machine needs feeding. It needs content. And that brings us back to the human side.
Right. Connection, content that actually resonates and generates leads, not just vanity metrics.
Let's talk LinkedIn. It's all about networking, expertise. How do you cut through the noise there?
Well, one source had this really effective formula, the niche problem post formula. Apparently generated $10K in pipeline in just 8 days.
Okay, 10 grand in a week. That sounds specific. What's the magic formula?
It's actually kind of simple but focused. It's 80% drilling down on the problem, really identifying the pain, and only 20% mentioning the solution.
80% problem. Why so much focus on the negative?
Because the goal isn't to sell immediately. It's emotional recognition. You want the right people to read it and think, oh my God, that's me. That's my exact problem.
So it's about self-qualification through pain recognition.
Exactly. And you can't guess the pain points.
Well, how do you find them reliably?
Preparation is key. And ironically, you use AI here too. Analyze sales call recordings, customer support chats, interview transcripts.
To find the recurring themes.
Not just themes, but the exact language prospects use. Using their own words back to them is incredibly powerful for building that instant connection.
That makes sense. So the post structure follows that.
Yeah. It needs a really strong niche problem hook, something specific that grabs the target reader. Then you detail like 3 to 5 specific symptoms of that problem.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, say you're selling sales enablement software. A symptom might be your reps are blasting out templated emails with just like superficial personalization, like hi first name, that actually insults the prospect.
Ouch. Yeah, that paints a specific painful picture.
Right. It forces that recognition. That's the core of the formula.
So once you've got that sharp content angle, you need to be consistent, right? Keep showing up.
Consistency is everything for building that brand and status. And there was a simple system for this in the sources too.
Simple is good. What is it?
3 steps. 1, create because you actually care. If you don't feel the conviction, don't post noise.
Okay, authenticity first.
2, capture every idea when it hits you. Voice notes, notepad, whatever. Don't let good ideas vanish. And 3, Just stick to the basics. Create, edit, post, repeat. Don't overcomplicate the workflow.
Create, capture, basics. Got it. And this ties back to brand values too, doesn't it?
Directly. It's fascinating that data shows almost half, 47% of social media users, and it jumps to 63% for Gen Z, are more likely to buy from brands that speak out on issues or topics they care about.
So having a clear stance, clear values isn't just nice to have anymore.
It's becoming table stakes. Look at brands like Reformation, the clothing retailer. Their whole thing is radical transparency about sustainability and environmental impact. That is their brand.
That clarity of belief, that conviction, it feels like a perfect segue to the last section. The power of status and boundaries in actual selling.
Yeah, moving from generating the lead to actually closing the deal, especially high-stakes ones.
And this part felt maybe the most counterintuitive. Success depending on status.
It really does. The core rule, the non-negotiable one for the source material, was you cannot sell to someone from a low-status position.
Okay, hold on. Define low status. Is this about job titles? Or is it perception? Like, who needs the deal more?
It's almost entirely perception, usually driven by perceived neediness. If the buyer thinks you need the sale more than they need the solution, your status plummets.
And what happens then, when you're low status?
They just don't listen properly. They'll challenge your expertise, take silly risks because they don't trust your guidance, discount your advice. They'll trust their gut over your experience.
So you have to kind of level the playing field.
Yeah.
Or even get slightly higher status.
Pretty much. Just to have a productive, respectful conversation where they actually take your recommendations seriously.
How do you establish that? It can't just be acting important.
No, it starts internally, with clear boundaries anchored in what the company actually believes its institutional truth.
Like a documented set of values.
Exactly. One source called it a brand point of view, POV exchange. It's about codifying what the company stands for, its operating philosophy, not just random ideas from the founder.
And if you don't have that strong POV,
Chaos. Whoever has the strongest personality tends to dominate strategy. And if that leader leaves, the company is lost asking, wait, what do we actually believe? What deals should we take?
so a strong POV gives the sales team what? Permission to say no.
Absolutely. It gives them the backing of the entire organization to say, you know what, we don't actually solve that specific problem, or we don't partner with companies that operate like that. It provides the framework for holding prospects accountable.
Okay, accountability. Let's make that concrete. How does a salesperson use this status, this POV, to set a boundary? Say a prospect is just mess around being goofy, as the source called it.
Right, wasting time. The high status move isn't to just tolerate it, it's to apply a consequence professionally.
Like what? Hang on.
Maybe not that drastic initially, but you could effectively demote the relationship. For example, saying something like, based on where things are, I think it makes sense for you to work with Cassandra on my team for now. She's great, still getting up to speed on some complex cases. When you're ready to really dive into the strategic stuff, the big boy sandbox, as it were, let me know and we can reconnect.
Ooh, that's bold. Isn't that super risky? Won't they just walk away? Call you arrogant?
It's about the delivery. It's not arrogance, it's professional boundary setting. You're rejecting the behavior, the lack of seriousness, not the person. You're signaling that your time and expertise have value and require reciprocal seriousness.
Okay, I see the distinction. What about that ultimate challenge? The final boss, as they put it. The big company, maybe a huge logo like Microsoft's, comes in at the 11th hour after weeks of work and just says, yeah, we need a discount. Because we're Microsoft.
Ah, the classic power play. The low status response is to panic and offer 5% off immediately.
And the high status response
Is to hold the frame, to call out the behavior directly, but neutrally. You might ask something like, okay, interesting, help me understand. Is this just a standard procurement tactic you deploy at the last minute? Or does this reflect how you approach partnerships, potentially undermining trust right before we sign?
Wow. You put it right back on them. Force them to choose between a cheap tactic and acting like a trustworthy partner.
Exactly. You make them own the behavior. The key takeaway here is that this kind of accountability, this boundary setting, it does two things.
Okay.
One, it stops you from signing bad deals with problematic customers who will drain your resources. And two, it establishes your non-neediness. And that lack of neediness is incredibly attractive. It raises your status and makes serious buyers more interested, not less.
Incredible. So we went from AI control towers optimizing profit down to the penny.
Oh, to the cold, hard metrics.
All the way to the psychology of status and conviction needed to actually close the deal. It really is those two distinct worlds.
And you need mastery in both for sustainable growth. Automate what you can, absolutely. Optimize the machine.
But never automate the human connection.
Or the conviction, the boundaries, the integrity, that has to stay human.
So wrapping this up for you, the listener, we've seen how AI, these vertical agents, are getting incredibly sophisticated at optimizing for financial metrics, CLV, profit margins, ROAS.
They understand the numbers.
Right. So here's the provocative question to leave you with. How long before these AI systems start learning to factor in proxies for the human side? Could an AI learn to detect low sales status signals or predict when boundary enforcement is needed to maximize the probability of a profitable long-term relationship, not just a quick sale?
Can AI model the psychological frame of the deal?
That feels like the next frontier. Something for you to chew on. That's your next deep dive.
Indeed. Until next time.